something, which I guess is about, you know, if it gets much higher than that, your brain actually lifts off your head and die. Yeah, I was really sick. It didn't last very long. I mean, it was weird. Like, they gave me Tylenol in the hospital, and
just like the commercial
and
says.
and I really felt a lot better. Like right away, my temperature went down like 2 degrees, and the difference, I guess, between 104 point something and 102 point something is really basic to your body. You know, it's both seem pretty high to me, but it's sort of. I mean, I was delusional and going in and out of like really weird.
And this is while you were on tour?
Yeah, we were in Athens, Georgia, a couple weeks ago, and it happens every now and then. I mean, you get the flu or you get sick, but it usually doesn't actually like. You tend to have like a day off right as you're really sick, and then you get better.
So it can ruin your day off?
Yeah, so yeah, basically like your travel days and your days off are like filled with, you know, flus and stuff like that, and then. I don't know, it's one of those things where you can also like do shows surprisingly sick and do an okay show, and then the second you're off stage you collapse and you're really a mess. But I did a tour of the mid-Atlantic region for about a week where I was really, like, I don't have any memory of it at all, and evidently the shows went pretty well, but it was really like a wheel me out kind of affair, you know.
Wow.
I was really funny.
But you're feeling better now?
I feel fine now, yeah.
Well, that's good.
I'm totally over it. Other people, like in our crew, have it now.
So you guys
So it
pass
just kind
along
of moves around, yeah, slowly.
Does that happen because you're constantly touring? Because we saw you in Milwaukee in December.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Has the tour stopped? I'm sure you
it
stopped.
stopped. Well, actually, we didn't really stop for Christmas. We played till New Year's, and then I mean, we had a few days off right at Christmas. That's when Christmas at home, but we played up until New Year's, then we broke till the end of January, and we've been on the road since then. So.
And how much longer is this tour?
Well, I guess we'll be doing some festival shows in the summer, but I don't think we'll be in Australia and Japan in April. So I'm not really sure when the end date is. It's kind of fuzzy at this moment.
So this is your lifestyle? You just keep going, city to city?
If you could call it a lifestyle.
What would you call it?
It's basically, it feels like a job, you know. I mean, a lot of it is like, you really do have to be places that you know, whether you're up for it or not, you know. I mean, that's the part that like really does draw on. I mean, it's one of those things where I think people romanticize being a musician and a musician's life so much that like when somebody says like, oh, it's a job, it's like this really harsh, like, it makes it seem really bad somehow. But essentially, you know, there are things that you have to do that you might not feel up for at any given time. So, you know, there are, I mean, that to me defines a job.
Certainly.
You know, but, you know, I mean, some people enjoy their jobs, and you know, I mean, by and large, this is a pretty good one. But, you know.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Okay, I have one basic interview question.
Okay.
Which I like to ask is,
What's up?
well, besides the general what's up, what's the question that you always hate to be asked?
Well, actually, there's a bunch of them. I mean, people ask us where our name came from. That's a very common one.
From a movie, which
Right.
we couldn't remember the name of the movie.
No, the movie's called They Might Be Giants. It's
There's
called They
somebody
Might Be
famous
Giants.
in it.
There are a couple of famous people, Joanne Woodward and Georgia Scott are the stars. And so that one we've answered a lot, and it's one of those things where it doesn't have much larger significance. So unlike other things, you know, it really is just for decoration. So there's like not a good explanation, which is kind of tragic, you know, to have a band that doesn't have a good, like it's not named after something important to us. Like people assume that we really love the movie They Might Be Giants, when in fact it means almost nothing to us. And there are definitely movies, you know.
So
It seemed like Raging Bull was a bad name for a band. So that's one question that we get asked a lot. And,
So when you give people answers, do they get disappointed?
well, yeah, a little bit, or we know just kind of mumble our way through it. Or the other question that we get asked a lot is where we get our ideas for our songs, which is like really stumps us. And you know, we haven't figured out how to just like a move on from the question. I mean, we tend to try to answer things in a direct and honest way, and that question always leaves us just like stammering. And I don't know exactly why, but I think it probably is because we're not really sure. I mean, it's kind of a compulsive behavior, writing songs, and there's no real explanation for it. It's not like there's some source that we go to go like, oh yes, you know, there's another song to be written. It's something that you just sort of start doing and figure out that you can do, and you know, you end up writing songs, you know, but there's no good explanation for it.
So is that kind of like there's like 2 songs in me and I just wrote the third?
Well, you know, I don't know, you ever take a photography class? You ever take a photography class and like, you know, you take the pictures and you sort of go like, oh, well, that's like my thing, like those images are of interest to me, or whatever. But then you go into the dark room and like there are all these chemicals there, and you put this piece of paper in the enlarger and you put it through the chemicals, and all this stuff is happening, and nobody, I mean, the best photographers, I'm sure, are like staring at the paper and going like, wow, I can't believe, like, it looks so cool, you know? and I sort of feel like putting together songs like with drum machines and tape recorders and just all the technology, I mean the simple technology that's around writing and recording a song, there's kind of that kind of effect, like, you know, you put like the slap echo on your voice and like you sound like Elvis Presley, and it's like, oh wow, you know, that's so cool.
So is that experimentation?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much the experimentation, but it's actually, it's sort of the opposite. It's like the completeness, like like you sort of, you know, you put a couple different things together, and all of a sudden there's this thing that sounds really complete, and it sounds really real, and it sounds just like a song. I mean, it functions just like a song, but you did it, you know? So there's kind of like this, a little bit of what is it called? Oh God, when people are like frauds, or they have the anxiety that they're a fraud. You know, there's something like that going on. I mean, I don't think of myself, you know, I think of like, you know, like Paul McCartney and John Lennon are like way up here, and like I'm way like down sort of over here, and it really amazes me to just be able to do something that really resembles something up there, you know.
So I'm not quite used to it.
I guess so. I mean, you know, yeah, sure.
Because there are bands who can sing, go, yeah, we're the best, that's why.
Well, I mean, we did what we do. I mean, we're advocates of our style of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying like I don't like it, but I'm just saying I'm constantly surprised that we're capable of doing stuff that sounds right to us. You know?
That's great.
Yeah.
Is that how it changes?
Well, I guess it's great.
Well, it sounds like you're making every album changes in its own little way, especially with the addition of a band.
Yeah, that's a big evolutionary step for us. I mean, in a lot of ways, what's nice about the band is that it's kind of, well, people have always been really fixated on the lyrics of our songs, and I feel like having a band kind of brings the musical stuff up in the balance, and I think people notice the musical end of the songwriting more. And a lot of times the songwriting is about the balance between the lyrics and the music. Like there are things that are happening in the music that are really contrary to the lyrics. Like the lyrics will be overtly cynical or existential or just like dire or gloomy, and the music will be kind of working in contradiction to that. And that's like an interesting, I mean, it's like, that's the kind of thing that is sort of interesting to me, because it's where a song is more than the sum of its parts. You know, it's like the cumulative effect of those two different elements really creates a kind of mood that you can only create in a song, and so that works for me. I mean, a lot of things we do don't really function. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's just like a straight up lighthearted song, and sometimes there's straight up serious songs. But there is sort of a thread of songwriting in what we're doing that kind of has that component to it. And I think having the full band and like having the power of like a live rhythm section makes that work a little bit better. I think it's harder to ignore the musical end of things now. I mean, our records used to be really vocal heavy and very much, like that was really in the foreground and everything else was really in the background. So I'm glad that it's a little bit more balanced.
It sounds great, especially live.
Yeah, it's pretty damn loud live. Can't understand the words at all, man. So it's just music.
Okay, and then I had two other quick questions, which are kind of probably unrelated. Well, I know they are. But one was, were you really roadies or something for the Replacements?
No, that was something that...
Is that a rumor that you started with the song?
No, it was not. You know what it was? I think I didn't witness the origins of it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that there was a news writer at MTV who misinterpreted. We wrote this song called "We're the Replacements." That basically, I'll hold off on my declarative statement here for your listeners. We wrote this song called "We're the Replacements" that basically plays on the name The Replacements, and it's about being in a band, and it uses the Replacements as an example, but it's also about the replaceable nature of being on the road. Like everywhere where we're playing this week, another band is going to play next week. So there are all these bands that are in kind of marching around in a parallel universe, and they never really meet each other. But I mean, for months we were on the road behind 10,000 Maniacs. I mean, we were there
playing the same cities?
Yeah, playing the same cities, in a lot of cases the same venues, but just like a day before or a day later. And so there, you come to realize that there are people that you have. Well, for one thing, it's interesting. You come to realize you have more in common with like the death metal band than you ever thought. In terms of like where you go, like every hotel you stay at, they were there the day before. Every highway you drive down, every truck stop you go in, every venue you play, every PA guy you meet, they just met these other people who you thought you had nothing in common with, and then you realize you're living the same life as them. So it's consequently the notion of the Replacements is kind of a pun. So we wrote this song, and somebody at MTV got the idea that we must have been roadies for the Replacements. I don't know how it happened, but they announced it on TV.
Oh.
And so, like on the news or like introducing a video or something for a while, because it seems like a lot of people have this idea. I mean, people know that we were the Replacements for the